What's up, you guys? Andre here with Jack of All Trades. We were going to go do a junk removal job today, but unfortunately they canceled on us, so we got a free day for us, so we're going to try to fix this truck. Many of you guys that have been watching the channel for a while now know that this truck has been down for almost a year, and I do miss it a lot. And today, hopefully that will change. I want to give a huge shout out to FridayParts for hooking us up and wrapping our package extremely well. Everything was wrapped crazy good. I'll put a picture up here. I got it unwrapped so I can get going on this project. But man, FridayParts knows how to wrap their stuff. This Fass right here is supposed to make my truck apparently run a lot better. And then I also ordered a sump kit for it because I don't want to drop the tank. So what I'm going to end up doing is drilling into it and then installing this. So the install should be a lot simpler than dropping the whole tank. I didn't record how I ended up drilling this hole, but what I ended up doing was basically putting an adapter on the drill and then a drill bit and then drilling into the tank. The reason I'm using an adapter is because I don't want that diesel going all over my drill. And you don't have to use it, but if you do, it works out pretty nicely. And then you can see over here, my diesel is dripping down into this pan. While all of that is draining, I'm gonna start assembling this and see how it goes. Installing this bracket is gonna be very simple. All you need to do is install a spacer, align the hole, and then use the screw. You don't want this thing coming loose. It is pretty windy in my backyard, so I got a bunch of leaves falling, but I'm gonna move on to installing the fittings now. I want to make it really tight because I don't want this leaking diesel. That should be perfect. I'm also going to use Teflon tape. That way it makes a better connection. Should be solid, but we'll go a little more. Okay. I'm not sure exactly what this has, but it's something similar to Teflon. It feels like a pretty big hassle to mount this bracket, so I'm removing the bolt. I've been trying with Impact and it was just not working, but you definitely should use some WD-40 because once I put some WD-40, I'm able to take it off. So I'm running a bunch of extensions through a tiny hole to get through it. So I'm not really recording, but the bolt's coming out perfectly fine right now, so that makes me very happy. As you guys can see, the bolt is finally off and it came out of that hole right there, and that's exactly where it's gonna go back in. So I'm trying to line up this bracket to the other one right now, but it's not working out, so this is backwards. I need to flip it around right now. Having no experience doing this always makes stuff extra fun. So basically, I'm supposed to take off the bed bolt now and install this because I was supposed to have it on there so we can reduce vibration noise and stuff like that. So, yep, working twice right now on this step, and then thankfully I remember though because it's going to be very beneficial. I'd hate to do it last after everything's installed. And then I'm going to need to install this one in between the one on the bed and this. It's kind of hard to see and also very hard to fit a camera in here to show you guys better details, but basically my hands cover up everything. You try to get your hands in here and try to run 4 bolts from the other side, put the spacer, and then you mount it through the pump bracket, and then you try to tighten them, and then you should be all good. A lot of handwork. All right, I'm gonna move on to the wire harness now. So I already put this fuse in here. So it comes with a little pack and it has a bunch of little gadgets in it, and this 10 amp fuse needs to go in here. It already comes with the cover installed, so then you just have to remove the cover and clip it back in, and then this part is done. We got to come to these power and neutral, and we're gonna need to crimp these on. And then over here with this one that's single, it's for an add a fuse, so we're gonna have to install this like this, crimp it on as well, and then I believe it's going to get this little fuse right here. And once we run the wiring all the way through, this is going to go inside our fuse box. Then there is this relay that is supposed to go over here, and I thought I had to order some grease, dielectric grease I believe is what it's called, but it looks like mine came with it, so I'm not even going to open the one I ordered. So yeah, you basically want to put it in here or on these connections, push it on, and then this is your cover right here, because this will basically prevent water from getting in and corroding and stuff like that with time. Hello, this is Andre with Paul Industries Junk Removal. How can I help you?
Hey man, this is Jackson George. I watch your shows on YouTube.
Hey man, how you doing?
Do you ever need help?
Very rarely, man, honestly. Right now it's super slow too, so when I do, I already have a couple guys that are asking me to give them work when I have it, so I already told them that I would. Where do you live?
I'm in Gwinnett County.
Text me your name and I'll save your number, and if I do need help on some jobs and they're not available, I'll give you a call, but I can't promise you anything.
I also have a valid license.
You have a driver license? How old are you?
Yes sir. 44.
44. Okay, sounds good, man. Yeah, just text me your name and I'll save your contact. I can't promise you anything, but if I do get something, I'll definitely give you a call.
Oh, trust me, I know how it is, man. Right now it's coming up on the beginning of the year.
Yeah, it's...
Everything is all hectic.
Yep, exactly, man. I had a job today, but they canceled on me. Somebody beat me to it. Right now, everybody's hungry for work. So, you know.
Yeah, I know. I've been out of work for a little over, I want to say, since March.
Yeah, it ain't easy right now, man. That's quite a bit though, since March. Wow. No side jobs, nothing?
Well, nah.
You haven't been doing side jobs and none like that?
I was trying to help a guy out that does tree service, and the dude turned into, how would you say, he turned into a total prick. Within it, it's like, oh, I'm going to use you for 2 days. And after that, it was nothing.
Yeah.
And everywhere I look up here, talk to, they're not hiring because everything's dropped.
Yeah. I'm pretty happy how these connections came out, but I'm not very satisfied with this one because I could feel it a little bit loose, so I ended up just pulling it out. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut this off, and then I'm gonna use a different type of connection. Actually, these might even work better because they're waterproof. So you run basically one through them, and then you melt it and it solders them together. So you basically slide it on, come to these, run them into each other, a little twist or something like that. Then you pull it through, and you want to stop basically at the connection where you see the soldering. Then you melt it with a lighter, and then you should be all good. Once you start seeing the soldering go everywhere, you're pretty good. It's only a 3 amp. guess you don't need much more. But I do think this looks a lot cleaner than this. This connection right here of the wire harness is going to mount into the Fass pump, so that's going to be very easy. I'm happy that the connector's already on it. I wish these came already installed. I don't know why they didn't, but I guess that's how it goes. So I got the tank all drilled out. It actually came out very easily due to having a quality bit. That's currently what it looks like. I just need to go back with the knife and clean up all those shavings, wipe down the inside of the tank, and then I can install my sump. This is currently what we're looking like under the hood. Honestly, pretty messy. I got the harness, ran to the battery, and I got the fuse over here, but I'm not sure if it's gonna work properly because I put the key in the ignition and I didn't hear the pump kick on at all. So I probably did something wrong. Hopefully not though. I mounted that sump pretty far away from the fuel pump itself, and then the other problem is I left some loose hosing. I thought it would be enough, but I guess it was just measured just right so I can run it from the pump to the sump again. So I'll have to go to the store and buy some to finish the job. Unfortunately, I'll have to finish the job another day because I'm out of time for today. But these filters right here are super easy to install. You just have to look at the picture and then it tells you basically exactly where to put it, because they both look the exact same, but they're not apparently. This thing is finally alive. I am so happy right now. I was literally so stressed out because this is a repair, man. For a rookie like me, jumped it with the mini skid steer. I can't believe this thing's running. Oh my goodness. Everything's super jank right now. I gotta fix all the wiring. Woo. This thing has not lived for so long, almost a year. Well, LOL. The truck started, but we have a big problem right here. Got a big leak. I am so happy to see this truck running again. We're not leaking diesel anymore, and I'm super happy about that. I'll tell you guys why I stopped leaking. We wasted a lot of diesel. This is all gonna be trash. I ended up using some and putting it back into the truck just to get it to run. And then eventually I'll go to the gas station, put new fuel in it and stuff like that. But this thing is sounding good. It smoked a lot once it started, but it stopped smoking. Maybe due to all the water from the rain, it's sitting and stuff like that, just build up a lot of condensation. My leak was coming from that little ring right there, because that is what actually feeds the CP3 pump from the tank. And I didn't disconnect it because it was just broken. So I was like, all right, I'm just gonna leave it as is, which I should have disconnected, because what happened is magic. My pump inside the tank started working, which is crazy. I'm sure it's gonna stop at some point again. So I'm running the Fass. I'm not gonna rely on the factory stuff anymore, because that pump is for sure bad, because this has happened before. And the truck started again a couple days later, but then it died. So that pump is acting up. It didn't want to work for like months, me trying. And then I just gave up on this truck because I knew it needed a fuel pump. And to do the fuel pump, it's a pretty big job, because you have to remove the bed to access it, which sucks, or just drop the tank. And I was just like, whatever, since I had the new truck, I wasn't really worried about it. I'm gonna try to get a flashlight in here to show you guys. But what I ended up doing is cutting the connector that went to the pump. And I think the reason why it was working intermittently is because I found a wire that was ripped. So maybe due to vibration and stuff like that, it would eventually make connection and eventually stop making connection. So I just completely ended up cutting it off, because it's a bad connector either way, would need to be replaced. So that was easier than actually fitting my hand in there and trying to disconnect the pump with the bed on. This is where I got my Fass mounted from FridayParts. It runs to the bed bolt. I think I mentioned that before. I'm recording this a couple of days later because I had to go buy another hose and just didn't have time to mess with it. But this is actually super simple to install if you know what you're doing. Like if I was to do this again, this would be a super quick repair, but because I had no idea what I was really doing, it took me a little bit longer. I got my hoses all over the place. I got to go back and zip tie them all, but nothing looks like it's leaking, which is very good. This is where I got my Fass sump right here. FridayParts doesn't sell one of these, but maybe eventually they will start selling one. It's pretty expensive to buy it from Fass. I had to spend almost 200 bucks for it, which sucked, but I'd rather spend 200 bucks instead of having to remove the bed, drop the tank, and deal with a bunch of stuff, because that takes a lot of time and more than one person. I'm gonna try to show you guys. It's kind of hard to fit my camera, but this top line over there, that goes all the way to the front of the truck, feeds the CP3 pump. This bottom one runs to my sump, which goes like right there, and then this other line behind it is what feeds the sump. So it goes all the way around there, loops around the frame, and enters right here to this, which actually feeds the pump. And then that top one just runs all the way like that, all the way to the CP3 pump. And that fuel line right there with the ring is supposed to be a dead line by now. And obviously you have to actually disconnect it, but because I'm not a pro, I didn't think of that, which I probably should have. But because the pump was dead, I was like, all right, I don't have to mess with anything over there, and I just overlooked it. But then the pump started working, which I'm glad it started working now, instead of like on the road and then leaking diesel everywhere. So at least I got that sorted out. That pump will never kick back on. And then as of the wire harness, super simple. All you have to do is run the green line to the negative, the red one to the positive. You have to crimp on these connectors right here that it comes with, super easy. And then you have a line that runs to the fuse box, which you use a crimp connector that they give you. I didn't like how that worked, so I ended up using one of my own, like soldering ones. And this is what powers on the pump. Without this fuse, the pump would not kick on, and it was not working for me because I didn't know that you need to mount another fuse to it. So I just had the 3 amp fuse that came with, and I thought that this was a fuse itself, but it's not. It's just like a power connector. And I was trying fuses and it was just not working, so I ended up calling a diesel mechanic. Honestly, I only know because of YouTube, so I'm really glad I do YouTube videos, because this homie really hooked me up and taught me a few things and helped me get through this repair in the end, because I was honestly about to give up and just take it into a shop. What I was doing is just plugging it into the empty slots, and it wasn't doing anything. I was like, why is that pump not working, you know? And he told me that you need to plug in a fuse to the actual thing. And I didn't even know that, because I didn't even really notice it either. But you plug in a 10 amp fuse, and you have to make sure that it's for a fuse that is not connected to the ignition. So it's not running non-stop. So that means it would only kick on when you have your keys in ignition. And I took it out, plugged it in here, and it's fuse 28 for my truck. And yeah, now we're solid. That pump is kicking on. I'm gonna have to cut some piece of plastic and just route this thing out. That way I can still use my cover, because obviously need to run a cover for the fuses. So I'm gonna get to fixing all of this wiring right here. It's not important. Every truck's a little bit different, so you have to do that as you're liking. The most important thing is to get everything plugged in, make sure there's no leaks, and that's what's happening with this truck right now. I'm sorry this video is not quality at all, but really it's kind of hard to make a video when you don't know what you're talking about, because I literally had to go through this stuff and learn, and it was honestly kind of frustrating, because it's a job when you don't know what you're doing. But I really hope this video ends up helping some of you guys out that are trying to install this and have no idea how that add a fuse works, because I didn't even know that was a thing until I did this job. But yeah, you have to remove a fuse to plug it into it, and if you don't know that, you're not going to do that, and then you're going to be stressed now because your pump's not kicking on, and you're going to think you did something wrong. This is definitely the easiest wire harness I've ever had to deal with. It connects right here, and then it connects into the fuse box. Literally that easy. And then obviously 2 wires go to the battery. Super easy, man. The only thing that threw me off was the add a fuse, but after I got that figured out, got the truck started, and man, I think we are golden. This right here is the hose I ended up purchasing from Ace Hardware so I can complete this job, and it was a little bit bigger than the hose that came with the kit, but I ended up buying clamps, and you know, it's not leaking at all. It's barely any bigger, but Ace Hardware didn't sell anything smaller. As you can see, I got the clamp on this side as well. Can't believe this truck is running, man. I'm just gonna start it back up again so I can just listen to it. My dash lights don't work, so that's another problem with this truck. There is just so many things wrong with this truck that unmotivated me from fixing it, that, you know, I didn't really care. But now that it's back, I think I'm going to try to start fixing them one by one, because I really like this truck and I want to hold on to it for a long time. I mean, this is what I started my business with, so if I can make this truck really nice, that's what I want to do. Starts right up, man. Need new tires. That's gonna be expensive, but it's gonna look so much better with some meat on them. The sound of this 4-inch MBRP exhaust is just absolutely awesome. I love hearing it. This thing feels extremely fast, much faster than last time I remember running it, and that's probably because of the fuel pump issues, or this new pump gives it a lot more fuel, so it runs a lot faster. I don't know, I'm not a mechanic, but I'm putting in some diesel right now, and then I'll talk about it a little bit more. I'm gonna go for a little bit longer of a drive right now because, oh my gosh, this thing rips, man. I am not kidding. I'm extremely excited right now. I did get scared a little bit because as I was letting the truck warm up at home, I started hearing a ticking sound, and I shut it off fast. I go to the front of the truck, and the serpentine belt over there started ripping, and I was like, oh no, shut the truck off fast. And then I cut off the serpentine belt where it ripped, because I replaced this belt around 30 to 40,000 miles ago. They're supposed to last close to 80, which confused me how it started ripping, but then the truck wouldn't start again, and I was like, well, it's probably because of the belt. And you know, I tried to make sure that it was clear everywhere, and it was. So I called my friend and I asked him if it's not starting because of the serpentine belt, and he said no, that shouldn't be the problem because I've started trucks even with no belts on. And I was like, oh man, now we probably have another problem. So he's like, tap on the starter, and I tapped on it, nothing. But then it clicked in my head, hey, my dash lights don't work, so maybe this thing is not actually in park, because it's supposed to click when it goes into park. And because I was trying to shut it off super fast, I guess I didn't click it all the way in park, and it was like right before park. So I put it into neutral, put it back into park, started right up. So that was very nice. Man, this thing absolutely rips, but maybe it's just me. It honestly feels like it's faster than my 6.7 without a trailer connection to it. Maybe I'm wrong though, I just haven't driven a 5.9 in a while. This is currently what my wiring is looking like. I'll probably fix it up, make it look better down the line, but honestly this works pretty good. Got it all zip tied. I did not remove my fuel filter, even though it's useless. Maybe eventually I'll do a fuel filter delete, get more space up under the hood. I regret cutting up the wiring up at the fuel pump compared to just disconnecting it, because what I ended up doing is cutting off my gauge. So now I can't tell how much diesel I have in my truck, unfortunately. But honestly, that's not that big of a concern for me, because eventually I plan on putting a flatbed on this truck. I don't know exactly when, but when I do it, I'll fix it. But for now, I guess I just won't be able to read my fuel. But the good thing is that I have the sump, is that I can actually use all the fuel in my tank because it's at the bottom of the tank. Before I wrap up this video, I want to give a huge shout out to FridayParts for sending me the system right here. Man, it is so easy to access, so fuel filter changes will be a breeze. I mean, they weren't too hard before, but having it right here, it's definitely a lot nicer. Having a Fass system like this installed on your truck makes a huge difference, guys. Yeah, it's like a $600 upgrade, but having it increase the performance of the truck and having everything so accessible, it's totally worth it to me. But that's pretty much gonna wrap it up for this video. So if you guys enjoyed this content, please don't forget to hit that like button, comment, and subscribe. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.